And now I'm going to reintroduce Mr. Matt Hocking for some optimism in action. Once again, like you said, it feels like it was only yesterday.
It does. I mean, I don't know if working on these sessions with you at Chaos actually makes time go faster than it should in normal realities.
It's a little... See, we have a few recurring guests here and there. And honestly, every time we have them on, we go, oh, yeah, you were only on yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, that was last year. Oh, okay, sure thing, sure. But no, it's lovely to have you back in the studio today.
Good to be and in a different studio. So,
yeah.
me confronting my uncomfortableness with cameras and stuff. And now there's like a picture of me there, a picture of me there. I'm not sure what camera I'm supposed to be looking at or not, or do I just look at you?
It's a question I ask myself every day. You'll find me looking at you, then looking at the camera,
Yeah.
then I'll be looking at one of the many screens to see what's going on and how it looks. And
and after seeing my mighty friend John Brown of Don't Cry Wolf did a little vlog here recently, and he spent quite a lot of time looking at the camera, I think just up there behind him. So.
Take your pick. It doesn't matter. Mr. Cameraman Owen himself, he will find the right angle for you. He'll find your best angle.
We're trusting you, Owen.
So, how do we start this today? What have you got for us?
Well, it's been a busy month. It's
what
an
have you been up to?
Yeah, I mean, too much, really. I mean, I'd say the world that I'm in, which could be a bit of a bubble world of climate action and awareness and engagement, has been it's like a roaring river now of organisations, people, talks, panels, talking about either responsibility, what can we do, B Corporation, or if it's in our design work that we do each day. So it's been, I would say I've been unsustainable on me because I've been literally going to bed about 2:00 most nights. Luckily, I don't need much sleep. I would probably look really young and youthful if I did get any sleep. But luckily, I'm sort of designed to be more alert at night. So yeah, it's been long hours, and but again, really worthwhile. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why my business is here, is to kind of, use design for change and be optimistic about some pretty tough stuff that's going on around there. So, non-stop, basically.
Yeah. There's something I saw in the news actually earlier today, and you talked about responsibility. It's had me thinking a little bit today. It sort of goes side by side with what you hear about, and it's talking about the energy crisis. Obviously, how much energy we're using and the gas prices. Gas, should we be using it? We shouldn't be using it, etc. And it's talking about how obviously people are being encouraged to insulate their homes, get double glazing, all that kind of stuff. Completely agree. It would be very helpful. We'd use less gas. We use less whatever we're using to heat our homes. Fantastic. But the use case that in this article that I saw on the BBC was this bloke had spent £36,000 on his home getting all of the things done as per his EPC, his Energy Performance Certificate stated. And it was great. It was working. He was using either 30 or 40% less gas, which is fantastic. But he's only going to see himself break even in 20 years financially. And it's like, who actually should be responsible for this? Because there's not a lot of people have that kind of money to spare.
No, it's a really good and it's a really big question. I think it's where's your priorities? So for me, when I got solar, I got a loan to do it, and the solar would benefit me for a minimum of 20 years, but it would take me about 8 years to pay back by generating solar power.
Of course, yeah.
But actually, once I'd done it, it was one of the happiest things I'd done, because my first summer, and we've had some pretty booming summers recently, last couple of years, where I'm, my energy bills are next to nothing. I'm not using the gas cooker, and I'm just, using the solar to do most of the things. So I switch my washing to make sure it would be at peak time, whereas you normally wouldn't do your washing. So I think this behavioural switch. Yes, we don't have money, but I guess it's what do we feel is the right thing to invest in? And for me, being not so beholden to the energy companies and that is definitely something for me. I have a light kind of footprint for energy use. I'm not much into cars and things and stuff, so I haven't really invested much into those. So environmental things are where I tend to put some investment. But we can't all do it. I think if I went to the big picture, why is the government allowing house building without those things already pre-built into a house?
I think that's a very good point, actually. Obviously, down here in Cornwall, we have a lot of older buildings, I think it's fair to say, which, yes, okay, we do end up needing to sort this out. But I think it was Zion that said earlier to me, he was in this morning when he was doing the news, he said, we've actually been trying to get houses sorted with insulation out for years and years. why is it still something that we are trying to do? How has it not already been done? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting, but 70% of our housing stock in the UK needs to be retrofitted for the environment that we're about to live through. So whether it is hotter summers or colder winters and things, and be more energy efficient. So I think there are lots of things to do. There's some simple stuff to do, you know, like even just like only have radiators on in the room you need the radiators on, and that kind of simple sort of space. And my mum lives in a council house, and you know, has a very sort of low income, and so she's, you know, very, very efficient with everything she does. Just because there isn't much money and she's got to live in a certain way, but she is a 76-year-old woman as well. Yes. So who also has a lot of pride. So if I offer her money, she basically spits at me and says no. I mean, it's interesting, and we could have a whole talk on this one. That I just think houses are being built wrong, and like in Wales, they've got like the One Planet build program or something. So by making more environmentally efficient houses and stuff like that. Down in Cornwall, we don't have anything like that yet. Maybe it's something Babs would like to champion and things. So
you've seen how much she does already. There's a reason she's called Whirlwind Babs. You get one chance to speak to her, and it's already gone.
Indeed, indeed. But she has set me the task to convene a group of us together to see what we could do for Cornwall as a group. So I haven't yet gathered us together, so it's on me. I'm behind at the moment.
Well, if Babs has set you on that, be prepared. She's going to be knocking at your door loudly. Like, come on.
She'll be waiting outside when you can't leave.
You say that, I swear I just saw her walk past at that moment. That was terrifying.
Indeed.
Anyway, can we talk about Leap Studio?
Yeah, so I guess if we were talking about buildings and energy efficiency, we're in a 300-year-old bakery.
Wow.
Old Bakery Studios in Cornwall.
Okay, yeah.
Just down in Truro. And that building, due to its environmental attributes, its heritage and stuff like that, isn't that efficient. We do use, you know, standard little heaters to keep the team warm, but on things as a business place, we've got to make sure it's warm enough for them to work, but we also say, like, actually, you know, don't just come in a t-shirt this time of year. Do wear a couple of jumpers or whatever. So let's have a balance of it. But then the other side of things, you know, Kath, who runs Old Bakery Studios, very nicely, when we wanted to be a tenant there, I said we really need to be powered by renewable energy. Leap has always been powered by renewable energy, and she said, yeah, I will do that. And so that then didn't just affect our business, but the 48 other businesses in Old Bakery Studios all became renewably powered.
Perfect.
So they all started to become a bit more eco, just for one small business asking a question.
That's really good.
And one good landlady just sort of saying, yeah, I'm willing to do that. So, but yeah, the studio, when we moved from St Austell to Truro, we've never really had control of our studio spaces. So I wanted to kind of make it a kind of like showing the best of our environmental attributes. And we love creativity, we love beautiful image, beautiful art and stuff like that. And actually, if Owen can show some pictures right now, that would be good.
Yeah, we've got them here for you.
We're working with a filmmaker called Neil McGraw, who's also based in Old Bakery Studios, and he helped me recently do the interior video, which you'll see later. So in there, it's very typically lots of little design things and some of the books we read, you know, Make Enemies and Game Fans by another agency called Snask, Extinction Rebellions, This Is Not a Drill. So this wasn't a set-up shot. This is literally just what is behind our design team
it's a nice setup.
all before. Yeah. And we got a peg wall so we can move things around and people put different books and stuff on. Yeah.
I like that. Something you can just chop and change whenever you want to without any too much hassle.
Yes. This is our entrance as you come in. So design for change has always been our mantra. So it's change behaviour, change futures, change possibilities. So I've always loved the word change.
Can you come and design my house for me?
Sure. Designers aren't very good at looking after living things and plants. That is a living moss mini wall that we've decided to pin some badges in. But we wanted a bit of greenery in there because nature needs to be around you and it's healthy.
Yeah.
So we were just looking at it gets quite abused, this poor little wall. And so you'll see like different design features, things we play with. These are concrete letters. And when we won Sustainable Business of the Year for Cornwall Business Awards, I don't know what year that was. That was a few years ago now.
Is it wrong that all I saw then was ale?
Yeah, and there's an overview of the studio. On the ceiling we've got Stay Curious, and this is done by an illustrator I've always wanted to work with called Neaston Control, and he came in and did all the walls, and I said,
that's cool.
For me, we put Stay Curious on the ceiling because the thing is, I think as we get older, we forget to look up sometimes. We either look down in our phones, we look straight along, and actually putting it up, and it's amazing how many people go, I didn't realise that's on there. So exactly, it's there. Stay curious, keep looking around. You know, when you're going down the street, say if you're in Truro or whatever, look up. The amount of things that you'll see that you wouldn't be, be surprised to see, like old architecture, beautiful artwork and stuff like that. It's really worth looking up.
A good example of that, I always seem to find myself, and I'm not recommending doing this for the record, it was just one day I'd been driving, and then for the first time in a very long time, I'm always the driver of a group. I need to get somewhere. It's just my life. That's how it's ended up. And that's fine. I have a car it's not electric, it's not even a hybrid, but it's relatively good. But I end up having to drive. Sadly, that's just how it's become. And one day I became a passenger, out the blue. I can't remember why, and it was so strange. And I started looking around. I can't look at my phone when I'm a passenger. Okay. I get car sick. I started looking around and I thought, what am I missing when I'm driving? This is amazing. And that got me thinking about my phone, like you said. And when I was driving the next time, I thought, I'm missing things. No, don't start looking around. Keep concentrating. There's a reason I haven't had an accident. Let's keep on that. You do miss so much, don't you?
You do. And even looking, I live in St Austell, and, people have various opinions of what St Austell's like. But actually, if you walk down St Austell High Street and look up, there is some really interesting bits of sort of historic art and architecture and things, and you just go, when we're on that street level, sometimes you're just seeing a shop window with an advert in, it kind of takes the beauty away. And some of our, we were talking about 70% of our housing stock needs to be retrofitted, so that's a huge amount of old housing stock, that some of those buildings have been around there for hundreds of years, so it is worth looking up, and every so often you might see something. Then if we go into like my environmental side, and Don't Look Up was the big Christmas film on Netflix. I don't know if you saw it, with Leonardo DiCaprio, which was a black kind of comedy reality show, or whatever you want to call it, on the fact that the climate crisis and stuff we're in, and in this case it was a meteorite that was coming going to hit the planet, but because nobody could see it, they didn't believe it was going to happen.
Oh, okay,
until they could see it,
and then suddenly panic stations.
If you haven't watched it, watch it. We could do a whole episode on that.
I like that. That's rather poignant.
It came out on Christmas Eve, and it's got all the big stars in it, and then you just think it's going to be one film. It's really talking about the times we live in now.
That's good. I like that. Really try and open a few people's eyes.
Yeah.
Pun unintended.
Yeah. I think some people thought, what have I just watched? Like, I don't get it. And, and it wasn't a big save the day film either.
Right. So. Okay. Can we move on
Yes.
to Creative Coalitions Day?
Yeah. So this was part of my very, very, very busy January come February. So I was very, very lucky to be asked to represent the creative sector for the Creative Coalitions Festival, which was kind of, they activated lots of different activities all over the UK, has potentially a 10,000 creative audience online.
Okay, wow.
And basically we were filmed on the Monday in front of a live audience in the humid tropic biome at Eden.
Wow.
And so people like Sir Tim Smith was in the audience. On the stage was the poet Vanessa Cazul, who, a brilliant birder from Bristol, has got if you look on YouTube, her poem Hollow is just incredible, and her other work. Then we had Fainty Balgoon, who's an actor and activist who's just working with Studio Complicit, Theatre Complicit, and produced a show called Can I Live? And if you were to put in Fainty, he would be talking about lowering the emissions and how hot the planet is and stuff, but in a really brilliant way. And then we had a lead games designer from the games company called Us Two Games. They produced Monument Valley and Alba. I'm
disappointed that I know none of those names. I am a massive gamer as well. So I'm disappointed.
Alba's more about the joy of nature, so it's a techie game about exploration, but when you find it in the technical game, it also gives you an opportunity to go and look for it in reality. Okay. So it's using digital to get you back out into nature. So we had Emily from there, and then we had Mark Jenkins from Cornwall, who's the BAFTA award-winning director of the film Bait.
Right.
So I was very lucky to be amongst such brilliant people. Our chair of the day was Sir Nicholas Sorota. So he helped found the Tate Cornwall, ran Tate London for years, and now is the chair of the British Arts Council. So really lucky for me, simple Cornish designer, being amongst everybody there. And it was really around how are we addressing the climate and ecological emergency through our work, through our practice, to our audiences, and what we're doing. So really, really interesting to be amongst them. We've spent the night before together, just learning about each other and things.
That's nice.
And it's basically what drives us, and it's definitely a love of our craft, but also kind of like wanting to do something, whether that is about climate emergency, whether it's about racism, whether it's about our use of games and how we interact with them. It was brilliant. And like Mark, I found I had to be honest and say I hadn't watched this film, Bait, even though I know like the lead actor in there and stuff. It's Ed Rowe, the Colonel King is in there and stuff like that. But I hadn't seen it. But hearing Mark explain why he made the film, and he didn't make it for the audiences, it was very much made for him and his account and like dialogue of what's around him and stuff like that. So that was fantastic to be part of, and I think days like that really fuel me in this kind of, for me, 20-year journey of kind of creative climate action. Right. And I think just being amongst those other artists, and they got much fresher ideas, eyes, minds, and energy than I. I mean, Fainty was just...
You put yourself down too much. You're there for a reason.
Yeah. Well, that's what everyone says. I'm at the table for a reason, and I take that and accept that. And thank you for reminding me. But at the same time, just to be amongst these, what I call just brilliant, fresher people, opening up perspectives, because I think film is such a brilliant space to bring awareness, and Fainty's energy is just... I wish we had his video. I should have literally, have his "Can I Live" video on for a couple of seconds, because then you would see the energy that I was aware of and witness of. And then obviously what was also good on that day, once it was over, with Emily from Us Two Games, we went a little bit rogue, and because the Human Tropic Biome wasn't open, right, but they were down from London. So I said, look, I used to work here. Let's go and have a little snoop around. We got to the highest point. I don't know if we've got a photo of that. I did send some photos, but the big overlook at Eden where you can look down.
Oh, wow.
So we went all the way up the stairs, and we weren't supposed to be up there.
I think I know what you mean, and I've seen it, and there's no way you could get me up there. Yeah. I think we have a photo. I don't think it's the photo you're saying, but we have got a photo, I think, of the panel here.
Yeah. So this is us. So I mean, like I said, this was us in the morning. This is getting ready. A couple of them. What was hilarious here, we had been given speaker notes. Kind of, it was very organised. But we thought Nicholas, who's on the right as we look now, would just ask us a question from it. Right. At the last minute, it said, "So you've all done your homework and you've got your answer to whichever question you've chosen ready." And we're like, oh. So what you can see is Emily and Mark literally just getting ready. I was kind of feeling okay, and then Vanessa, and then we got Daisy Ginsberg. Actually, she's a digital tech artist and doing the pollinator trail at Eden at the moment, which is really incredible as well. And then Fainty, who's laughing out loud at the end. He was in the film Dune as well.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So it was a really, really good day. Really good NJET people. We're staying in touch as well.
Fantastic.
So
really good.
So that's creative climate emergency and how we address it in our art. And then later on that day, I was with Gabby, who's the lead for sustainability for the BBC, and she did a talk about how the BBC over the last decade, how they've been implementing everything from big actions to small actions in the BBC's framework. And that was really interesting to see. They've got all the data behind it. So she showed us charts, but also we make conscious decisions, like all cars we use now are electric cars. But you'll see that actually, if you look at the meals in the background, most of the meals are now healthy meals and stuff.
Brilliant.
So it's really subliminal placing about things within their broadcasting.
That's fantastic. Now, we've had on the show before, and I think I've actually told you this on this show before, that we've had the Newquay Spaceport. We actually had the head of Newquay Spaceport. I can't remember her name now. Mel, thank you.
Yeah, Mel was incredible, yes.
Fantastic. And one of the things that first got me with Mel was they're talking about greener ways of going to space. Yes. It was something I thought, wow, that's something I'd never thought of. I didn't expect anyone to be thinking about that, because it's the bleeding edge. You think what you're trying to do at that point is just get there, rather than how can we be green about it. So to be doing both of those things, I thought was fantastic. And I believe you've been doing something about this as well.
Yeah, so we've gone into what I call the uncomfortable space, because LEAP as a creative organisation has always worked within our client base that are green. So they've always been those that are naturally making a difference, be it socially or environmentally. And I've met Mel a couple of times over the years, and you've met her. She wears her heart on her cuff. She is who she is, and she has this mission in her soul about what good space is and what responsible use of space is. So I decided to put my business into, luckily they chose us. So I, still had, it wasn't like we were the only choice, but to see if we could work together, and was Leap good enough at challenging someone that, wasn't necessarily in our easy environmental space. Ultimately there's lots of detrimental things about getting things into space, from rocket fuel to launches to the amount of debris that's up there. We know there's a big rubbish problem up there. But I believe Mel's intent to join up the global space sector from Cornwall to create a responsible code of conduct from land to space and back again is something that Mel wishes to drive. And with Spaceport, we've also been working on the world's first impact report for any spaceport in the world.
Wow.
And so that's from Cornwall. So, very proud of the county we live in and its natural environmental abundance. We know that these are massively problematic times where the idea of flight and things going up, can we condone it? Should we talk about decarbonisation, then we get things up? But what might we learn from space? More satellites in space point down and help us do things on the planet than they point outwards. We wouldn't have known about some of the climate data and stuff that's happening on the planet without satellite data. So I hope that we can really make something special here. Yeah. And that's Mel's, brilliance. And then she invited me on Friday for my scary spot on Friday, which was to chair some of the leaders of the UK space race.
Wow.
At Eden Project again. So it's really interesting. The start of the week I was talking about creative and climate emergency. The end of the week I was talking about space responsibility. So I got to chair this, and again, like you said, I was like, why me? There's going to be somebody better than that. But I was asked, and I was told it's because of my own environmental actions and stewardship over the last 2 decades.
Represent.
Yes. So we had the head of Virgin Group and then Virgin Orbit there, Patrick, and then we had a brilliant startup called Space Forge. They basically about making things in space, in near Earth space, like tooling and medical applications and stuff that we couldn't make in Earth's gravity.
Okay.
And also and then we had another company, D-Orbit. We were talking about how to clean up the rubbish in space and things, and how can you do responsible stuff, bringing stuff back down. Then we had another lady, we had Goonhilly there, Ian from Goonhilly. Awesome, and that was really interesting because I didn't realise at one point Goonhilly was going to be knocked down. That was it.
Really?
Yeah, and so Ian was basically I'm a techie myself and stuff like that, and I just found the money, made it work, and now Goonhilly is being used. Tomorrow we're doing like a Mars mission. It will be all looked after by Goonhilly. And he says, for the next 10 years we've got loads of work. We employ 45, and you go, you don't know any of this.
No, not at all.
And that basically they have been tracking virtually every space mission that there has been.
That's brilliant.
So learning about Goonhilly, and then we had Tabitha, and her company is about low orbit satellites to bring Wi-Fi to all. So 265 low orbit satellites. But what was interesting there, I learned, is they've designed a satellite with grappling hook spaces, but so that the satellites can be reclaimed at some point.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
But nobody's built the technology to repair and salvage satellites. So she's built in the fact that you've got grappling hook areas now. And she basically said, now here you go. Somebody can design how to bring this back, salvage it, and stop it becoming space junk.
Forward thinking.
Exactly. So it's a really interesting one to be on that panel. And I asked the panel at the end of it. I'm talking a lot here.
This is your session, and it's really interesting stuff.
I'm looking at you a lot. Should I be looking at the camera? You are gorgeous.
Well, I did trim my beard yesterday.
Can I jump in?
Hello, Nathan. How you doing, buddy?
Hello.
I'm really interested in what you're saying, and something that really annoyed me this week in the news, you're talking about satellites and kind of space rubbish, is the plans that NASA released to crash the International Space Station into the sea.
Oh
yes.
How is that sustainable or sensible or a good idea? Surely not.
Well, it's a really good thing, Nathan. So this is the thing. We've already seen we've turned our seas into this huge plastic dumping ground, and we know we've got a massive problem with whale health, marine life, let alone babies now with plastic in their placentas and stuff like that and things. But they don't seem to have solved these problems yet. It's always that case of like, the sea will deal with it, or we'll drift it off into space. So it's not sustainable, and we've got to get better at it. And I think this is where Cornwall and Mel's plans can get much more responsible at how to do it. Now, there will be some people saying, it will act as a reef. And, I haven't read this story, by the way. I just heard about it. So it'll work as a reef. So, yeah, maybe. Well, what's been discharged into the ocean? What rare metals or leftover fuels, or even stuff from the outer atmosphere that shouldn't really be on Earth that could cause problems? Who knows? What's your take on it, Nathan?
It just really blew my mind because we've got. I mean, I don't know where you come down on the whole kind of going to space thing, but I mean,
not in a
nerd,
penis.
I
just
love
not
it.
in a penis.
The kind of the progression we're really seeing now.
Yeah.
And you look at companies like SpaceX, Elon Musk reusing a lot of their stuff, bringing stuff back to Earth and using it again. And yet NASA have just set out these plans for 2030, so plenty of time to think about what they're going to do. And their plans are, we'll just crash it in the sea and it'll be fine. Just really baffled me. I was really surprised that was what the tactic they were going for.
I guess this is that, they've got to start thinking long term in the short term rather than just short term thinking. And I mean, so much has changed since, we first started going up into space anyway. And as a whole, there aren't that many launches a year, sub 200. And I think from Cornwall Spaceport, it will be roughly 2 launches from there. And theirs isn't a vertical takeoff, it's a horizontal. It's on the back of a reused, stripped out 747.
Thought it was, yeah.
But I think maybe there's a thing NASA could be being quite good, because maybe somebody will go, I've got a solution for that, before they actually do it, and somebody go, now we can rework this, we could do something with it, and hopefully some of the brilliant minds in the world like Elon Musk and that go, no, we will figure a way to keep that in orbit.
Yeah, thank you for letting me butt in. That was a curious one. You sparked my mind. But
No, Nathan, it's a really good question. Actually, it's that's where my naive or hopeful optimism always comes in. That like they've given enough time to say, like, we are going to do this. They know they're going to get public opinion going, no, you cannot do that, man. That is wrong. That is a bad idea. So somebody will go, I'm going to figure that out. So Elon, rather than this is to you, Elon, directly now, and Bezos, stop creating giant penises and having boys' toy fun sending into space. Figure out a way to keep the ISS up in the air, make it usable for future generations. There you go, guys.
It took me too long to work out what you meant.
Knows how I feel about Bezos anyway. So
no, you love him.
But thanks, Matt.
That's all right.
He doesn't. But no, that's a very, very good point. And also to people who are saying that it could be a reef. Like you said, there's going to be other things on board that's going to immediately leak, short term. But long term, that metal is going to degrade. It's going to rust. Yeah. It's going to become other chemicals, and it's also going to be released.
There's going to be lots of unknown factors, and also we still don't understand enough about our oceans to just keep dumping things in there. We know we have an ocean-wide problem, not just it's an entire planet-wide problem with the health systems of this planet. And I think putting more stuff in that we don't understand the effect is bad. And like I said, I'm hoping NASA and that can come up with something that is much better than we're going to dump it there. And I know there's simple facts. I know Mel did for Spaceport, like there's something like a 0.0000% chance of debris coming down in the sea that is going to hurt marine life and stuff. But it's still, you just don't know.
No.
And it's like anything, if we can just figure out better ways to do stuff. I think, this comes back to my world, design, what we've created in designing things, like everything in the studio, that waste is a design fault. Why? Well, there shouldn't be the term waste. It should just be repurposing of that material once its life is done into something that's reusable, which people call in circular economy.
I like that. Waste is a design fault.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. There's my one for the week. So yeah,
I believe we've actually got a video now that you sent in to us
of our. Yes, it's of our space. Is it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So this was a kind of I was asked to have a little show reel for the events that I was doing, and It was supposed to be me talking, but as you know, I'm a bit uncomfortable with. Although I can talk well,
Do well.
I'm uncomfortable like seeing myself in video on camera.
Can't stand it
Yeah.
myself. If they put one of me that I've done on, I'm out. That's it. I'm
Yeah.
done. I'll introduce myself and then I'm out.
And I don't particularly like hearing myself. But we had to get something out. All the others, like the actors, had show reels and stuff. And I was like, "What have you got, Matt? Oh, got a picture." So, and I thought, actually, whenever I create with intent, with reason. You know, I don't go back to that waste thing. I create with that little waste using recycled materials. So the space I created with our team in Old Baker Street, I'm really, really proud of. So this was kind of like a little 60-second one of that space.
Okay, let's have a look, shall we?
You can tell me if it's good or bad. It's me talking. A place to inspire, a place that has art and nature together, where we can work, where we can be community, and where we can invite others. Everything we do, nature's there at the heart of it, always has been, always will be. It's all around us, living in Cornwall. It helps bring through why we do the work we do. Time passes quickly, and when you can look out your window and see the tide change and see the leaves fall, things come in spurt into growth, I think we realise how fragile things are and how much we want to lean our skills into supporting this. And I can't think of a better way than a creative space to bring our creativity out. It's always been the right thing to do for people, and it's the right thing to do for planet, to create a space that nurtures our team to be the best that they can for the world.
That was good. We were both sort of confused there, weren't we?
Yeah.
Do we start now? Do we not? Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely stuff.
Yeah, so it's kind of a little bit emotive, a little bit of Cornwall, a little bit of our space, showing off our recycled straw walls and things
Yes.
like that and things. So, and then I've left my team now to produce a people version. So
Perfect.
a lot of our team don't want to be on camera either. So I said, actually,
Understandable.
what's a creative way to talk about the people that make Leap and create every day for our clients, local to global. So, yeah.
Fantastic. What else have you got for us? I know that's not all, is it?
No, so again, it's been very busy and I could do lots of things. So I think I'll go into Cultivate in a sec.
Okay.
I have just been sent, which is really nice.
Yes, you were telling me about this before we started, weren't you?
This little book. I've been promising to write a book for a couple of years, and my friend Tom, who runs a digital agency in London called Wholegrain, has written a book with this company called A Book Apart.
Okay.
And he showed on his LinkedIn this week that by the company who did it, you should write a book. And I went, yes, I should read that book because I keep procrastinating about doing a book. I got the idea, I know what it looks like, I just can't get the words on the paper.
Got you.
Anyway, I turned up into work today, and then a book had been sent, and Tom just saying, just count this as a pre-order, I'm going to buy your first book, and here's a book to inspire you. So,
That's
and I mean,
lovely.
how lovely is that? And that's somebody that runs what would be considered a rival business.
Yeah.
But we support each other, we work together, we share time together. So just a lovely part of the work that I get to be part of. So now I've even more got to write a book, so I got a first order. But I think the other thing I wanted to talk about is as part of Creative Coalition. So Creative Coalition was this 3-day online conference, which is about creativity and culture. And at the same time, we had Creative UK has a Cornwall outpost. And they're part of also the Cultivator programme. So Cultivator is an EU-funded programme for the creative sector. And one of the things they launched at the same time as Creative Coalitions is called the Clash Fortnight, which is all around sustainable actions and change. And specific for the creative sector, and our kind of, we have a big responsibility to play, and in our craft and our practice, there's quite a bit we can do. So the idea with it, much the same as a pledge platform I used when I cycled to Glasgow.
Yes.
It's
Forgot about that. Flipping
yeah, that was only a couple of months ago, and I put a lot of weight on since then. But
feeling.
so it's kind of like a series of actions. So you can go if you would put in like the hashtag Clash Fortnight or something like that, or Cultivator Cornwall's website, you would find the link, and it's also on my own Leapness Instagram profile. So there's a little dodgy video. I don't know if we got time to show the dodgy video of that, but don't worry if not.
We have got time for it. We've got time. Would you like to watch it now?
Yeah. This one's it's me not sounding. They chose these bits, and it's me sounding not so optimistic. But just it's only a couple of seconds long anyway.
Let's have a look.
In light of a recent survey of 10,000 young people aged 16 to 25, over half agreed that humanity is doomed.
I think that as creative minds, as problem solvers, we have the opportunity to completely reimagine society. It can be daunting, of course.
Perfect is the enemy of good. If we get stuck on thinking everything has to be perfect, we won't move.
This is what we're doing. This is the way we're doing it. And this is why, because these things are really, really important to us.
Where we are, we got to with broken thinking. So let's try something new.
Sustainability isn't a tick box. There's always more work to be done. So that little bit of footage was from Goodfest Digital, and we're going to do Goodfest on the North Coast, a live Goodfest this year, so a festival in September of creative conversations. But the idea with this is it's a pledging platform. We're trying to get 1,000 pledges from anybody that creates in Cornwall. So like the whole of the Chaos team could sign up to do a pledge or whatever. And you just go to the pledging platform and then you choose your pledges, and then 60 days later it comes back to you and say, how did it go? Yeah. And it also equates all your pledges into a carbon value. So whether you've switched energy, which is going to be impossible in the current energy crisis. So that's not going to happen to renewables. But then there could be, you just go to work by foot a couple of days a week, or you stay working at home. That saves carbon footprint and stuff like that. And then what you might do in your practice. So then the biggest thing is there's something we've got called the Sustainable Creative Charter, which is a set of principles for anybody who creates to align to. So it's like create clean. Challenge the brief. Don't just take what somebody says to you, and take action around that. So Cultivate a Clash Week, Clash Fortnight is on now, and it would be really good that anybody creates any age to just get involved with it. So that's kind of sums up a little like whirlwind of my normal month kind of thing, and pretty soon it will be 2023 in my time zone. So.
Now, I believe it's something I got here about, is it Boardroom?
Boardroom 2030.
We got just enough time if you'd like to talk about it.
So Boardroom 2030 is about looking at who should be in the boardroom in 2030, no matter what size, whether you're a one-person business or not. It's kind of imagining that you may have a boardroom and who should be in that boardroom. And that's actually acting on it now. And acting on it now means we need young people in those boards, not people 50-year-olds like me and stuff like that. So the idea is we're bringing a Boardroom 2030 activation to Cornwall. One was done at COP by the Body Shop, who've now, the Body Shop have got a youth advisory board. Perfect. Good Energy, the energy company, has also for 2 years had a youth advisory council. They're under 16-year-olds who get paid to advise the business on using their brains and their brilliance in the now of where the future's going to be for them.
That's fantastic.
So the idea with Boardroom 2030 is Eden Project have very kindly offered to host it for me. So they're giving us the gallery. And now we've got a date, which is going to be the 26th of April. We hope Chaos will come along, because actually we could probably do some things with some of your young people that might feel comfortable enough being around all the businesses. Then we're going to ask the Chamber of Commerce and the Federation of Small Business and the B Corp businesses of Cornwall to also come and join us. I've got an awesome facilitator, Charlotte Sewell, who's absolutely incredible. So she's going to facilitate the session. So keep a lookout. Boardroom 2030 is coming to Cornwall. And as Cornwall always is, we're quite pioneering. Well, more than quite pioneering, very pioneering. We've got a brilliant county that has brilliant possibilities, and this will be a first of its kind as a county to come together and look at it.
Brilliant. You've got a website, haven't you? Boardroom2030.org is the overarching sort of website for what it actually means. But the simplest terms, Pudge, is get young people in our organisations now, not later on. Don't wait for 2030 when they're already 10 years older. Get them in now, advising us and learning from them now, because it's ultimately their world that it's their life and it's their time rather than ours, kind of thing. So, I'm hoping Leap will have a board, our own board of young advisors this year as well. That's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant, Matt. Now, thank you for coming in. But before you go anywhere, can I get you to plug the different things you're doing? How can people get in contact, get involved? Feel free, go mad.
Cool. The easiest thing with anything with me is I'm sort of an Instagram person, so I'm at Leapness on Instagram, LEAPNESS. I couldn't get Leap, my business, so just add a nest to it. And that's usually the best place, or contact me on matt@leap.eco. That's my email address. A domain, the .eco, that you actually have to sign a set of principles to buy.
Right.
It's not a standard domain like a .com and things like that. So yeah, I would say through Instagram. And if we can help, or you've got an idea or something you want to talk about. I mean, this week as well, I've been like doing a bit of encouragement to a couple of young foster children in their teens.
Yep.
Online, just for them, helping them choose their career paths and just giving a bit of
Brilliant.
uncomplicated advice about playing to your strengths and your own, joy, and what's going to get you through sometimes quite a hard schooling time. So
Fantastic. Matt, thank you so much for coming in. It's a pleasure to chat to
pleasure.
you as always.